Hello. Well, I was going to make a video about Macbeth actually, and I still may do that. But meanwhile, my attention has been distracted by a Twitter thread from an obvious Biden supporter called Amy Siskind. Before I go into what she said, I want to, not important, I want to make it clear on no account should anybody try to in any way attack Ms. Siskind. She's an idiot. Well, that's my opinion. But still, there's no reason to go after her. By all means, make comments. She has put out a tweet. You can refute what she says. And her supporters, who are also similar idiots. But do not try to get in any way personal about this. I just want to make this clear. Oh, also, while I'm talking about this, I do want to ask you to share my videos. Obviously, my request for you to do that is bearing fruit because I am getting far more hits, which I'm glad about, especially the one, the J'accuse video, which I really felt was worthwhile circulating. And I hope you're all very glad to know that in the past 3 months I have made, because, I when videos get too controversial, I don't even bother to monetize them. So I don't earn that much off many of my videos. And I'm sure you will all be glad to know I earned the grand total of, I think it was £86 for the last 3 months' work. Well, that's for my horse. And since he's going into very expensive rubber shoes now, rather than the, sort of hammer in steel things, well, that might pay for one shoe. Baby needs new shoes, people. Share my videos. Right. This is the tweet from Amy Siskind. Biden is rising to the moment, and with a blend of strength and compassion. So she put those 2 lines out, and then, well, 2 sentences really, and then she had another thought and thought, well, I've got to strengthen this. So she added this: pivots from empathy for families who lost loved ones in the military to we will hunt you down on ISIS leaders. Yeah, well, good luck with that, because the ISIS leaders are going to be in Afghanistan. How are you going to hunt them down exactly with the Taliban being in control of the place? But they're fine words, aren't they? So that makes it all right. Okay, now, well, when I got my jaw back off the table, I looked at the rest of the tweets and I found this very next one. Adrienne, again, remember, whatever comes here, nothing personal, people, please. But they are putting out tweets, so they may be answered. Agreed, but this is not a stretch for him. We are lucky to have an informed, experienced, serious, and above all, decent human being leading our country. And then Rice Crispy tweets, amen. Honestly, it was the best speech I've ever heard a president give in my life. Well, I have to say, it was one of the best speeches I have heard Biden make. That is, he was relatively coherent there. I was quite surprised. And I would just like to know what they'd given him before that interview, because, I'd like some. VP, and he answered those questions from reporters knowledgeably and with confidence. He knows what he's talking about. Marilyn Press, it is impossible not to heave a sigh of relief. At the moment of crisis, we have a president who understands, whose concern is not with himself, but with the people at risk. and it is reassuring to see a press secretary who can answer questions with clarity and honesty. Born to Resist says, lowers his head in exasperation at the insipid yet deadly nonsense coming from some people pretending to be journalists. Oh, we all know about people pretending to be journalists, don't we? Cynthia Post, so very grateful we're under the Biden administration's competent leadership right now. Now, up till then, I had been, just gobsmacked, but people are allowed their own opinions. And then I came across this, which really does require some analysis. Queen of Heartbreakers says here, service member here. I'm not entirely sure that that service member really is what he or she more likely says, but it does say this. I love that he evacuated the majority of military before going back for those too stupid to leave when they had warnings and free flights since April. The blood of Marines who died today and any who die in the future is on those who selfishly expect rescue now. Now, that is on the face of it, a reasonable argument. Not a hagiography anymore, but talking about a situation. So I went into this press release here. Well, it's in the Washington Post. So it may not be exactly a press release, if you see what I mean, more a propaganda release, but here you are. First, the embassy focused for months on Americans in Afghanistan. According to documents provided by the State Department, it sent increasingly ominous warnings, even with offers to pay for airfare out of the country, beginning on April the 17th and following on May 15th, 17th, June 8th, June 28th, July 15th, July 20th, August 7th, and August the 12th. So, that was up to a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Despite all that, as many as 15,000 Americans remain across the country. The US military is not in a position to fetch these people, so it's their own fault. As both the State and Defense Department officials confirmed on Wednesday, so officials reached out to Taliban leaders in Doha and in Afghanistan to reach an agreement on safe passage to the Kabul airport. Now, I just want to stop and think about this, because throughout all these dates here, May 15th to August the 12th, Biden was consistently saying that there was no way that the Taliban could defeat the Afghani forces. So if any American was foolish enough to believe Biden was right, then why should they take these increasingly ominous warnings? But if the State Department was sending out increasingly ominous warnings, it means that they knew that Biden's assurances were false. And if State Department knew it, so did Biden. So you have to wonder exactly what was going on there, don't you? All right, let's get this closed. But this so-called service member doesn't seem to have worked that one out. And then there's this. I didn't tell you yet that a school in California sent, little bit of a problem with the English here, some 20 students on an excursion to Afghanistan. I swear this happened in America recently. Now, they sent people to Afghanistan from that school. Surely there would, if there had been any knowledge that this was going to happen, or even any danger of it, if anyone thought there'd been danger, they would not have been allowed to go. I'm not sure who would be in charge of visas, but I'm quite sure that the State Department would have been involved, even if it was the Afghani authorities that were in charge of the visas. So somebody, well, it looks very much like the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. Or, as is my argument, the Commander-in-Chief didn't know what he was doing, and there were mixed and weird messages going around from various people who didn't know what was going on because they were getting no direction from the commander-in-chief. Oh, I'll just read one more. This is from Teresa Petke. Geez, thanks. We're all getting fed up with everyone criticising Biden. We all know who made the screwed up Taliban deal. It's true that Trump made a deal, but the fact is, you want to get out of the country. You don't take the military out first. And if there'd been any sign of what ultimately did happen, then you'd have been able to use the military to enforce the agreement. So this is not an answer. Oh yeah, great speech to the nation delivered with steely grace and compassion from POTUS. Look, okay, I don't want to barf all over the desk here, but what I do want to do is read you a poem called The General by Siegfried Sassoon, who was a soldier during the First World War and a very brave one too. Some colleague of his said he was showing acts of almost suicidal bravery. At one occasion, just single-handedly scattering 60 German gunners in some trench or other by just throwing hand grenades at them as he ran at them, something like that. He was recommended for the Victoria Cross. Now, he wrote this poem about incompetence in command, and it goes like this. Good morning, the General said, when we met him last week on our way to the line. Now the soldiers he smiled at are most of them dead, and we're cursing his staff for incompetent swine. He's a cheery old card, grunted Harry to Jack as they slogged up to Arras with rifle and pack. But he did for them both with his plan of attack. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.